it's Cathy Cassidy and I am here again as usual to read you a chapter of Scarlett, and I hope you're okay and I hope you're enjoying yourselves, whether you're back at school or whether you're not back at school. I'm reading outside again, although it's a little bit colder today and not half as sunny as it has been, but hey, we'll make the best of it. And I had some shout outs, so they are to Siwong in Australia, Benita in Kenya, Anushka in India, Sophia also in India, Deborah in Czech Republic, and Ella Ann in Gibraltar. And also to Mirways, to Ali, who is very impatient to unravel the mystery of the plot of this story and often keeps me updated on her housework, and I think it was the kitchen yesterday. I think also had a message from Benita who said that she listens with her sisters while doing the chores, which is lovely. Francesca and Amy, Nicola and Amelie, Kiki, Bev, Mel, Bracken, Di, Doreen, Sheena, Helen, Hill, Craig, Rach and girls, and loads of other people that I've probably just forgotten, but anyway, all is good. And yeah, we've got a little bit of background noise. There are kids playing in the garden across the back from us, being told off, I think, at the moment. And there's also a guy clearing the shed in the house next door, so please forgive me if we have any strange background noise and interference. I'm going to read you chapter 24, which is quite a dramatic chapter, as you can imagine if you've been following the story so far. So here we go. The lane is spooky at night. An owl hoots in the distance, and there's a noise beyond the hedge that sounds like an old man coughing, although I think it's only sheep. I've messed up plenty of times in my life, but this time I have done it with style. What did it matter anyhow, messing up at school? There was always going to be another place, another bunch of teachers to annoy, another gang of bad girl friends. What did it matter, dyeing my hair red, piercing my tongue, clomping through the streets on 3-inch wedges? Nobody was looking anyway. Nobody cared. Mum would just huff and stress and pack me off somewhere safely out of sight, then change her mind and decide it was all a fuss about nothing. Back I'd come to carry on like nothing ever happened. Not this time though. This time is different. I thought it would be the worst thing in the world being sent to this middle of nowhere hole to live with Dad and Claire and Holly. I wanted to hate them, and I tried, I really did, but I just couldn't. I walked into that cheesy little cottage, and even though I was angrier than I have ever been, I could feel the happiness there. I guess I just wanted to be part of it. Some chance of that now. I slipped through the gap in the hedge and into the woods, my feet crunching through broken twigs and last year's dried leaves. All those years I thought that my dad was a total loser. Now I know he was just a guy in an unhappy marriage, a guy who fell for someone else and took his chance of happiness. Can I blame him for that? Not really. After all, when I thought I could have that happiness too, all the anger dropped away and I grabbed for it with both hands. I nearly had it too. The trouble is, I've had no practice at being a big sister. I wanted to make Holly happy. I wanted her to think I was cool and wild and clever, and I let myself be blackmailed. Would she really have told Dad and Claire about Kian? I don't think so. Not Holly. Don't go, she'd said, but it's not like I have a choice. I can't stay there now because they know how stupid, how bad I really am. Bad enough to stab my little sister through the lip. It's not like that's all either. I need to find Kian. I was wrong to stay silent about the dark-haired men who were looking for him, and I need to put that right before I go. He's down by the lough, a hunched figure in the darkness. He's sitting on a rock beside the water next to a small fire edged with stones and fueled with fallen branches. An empty tin of beans, blackened on the outside, lies in the embers, and midnight stands at a distance, gazing out across the lough. "Hey," Kian says, as though it's the most natural thing in the world for me to come strolling out of the woods at 1:30 in the morning. "Hey yourself." I sit down beside him, hugging my knees, holding my hands out to the fire. Don't you ever sleep? Sometimes, he laughs. I've just been sitting, thinking, that's all. I kind of lost track of time. My eyes slide over to the wishing tree, to the long scarf the dark-haired man in the hat had tied to a branch this morning. I can see it silhouetted against the night sky. Some guys came to the lough this morning looking for you, I say in a rush. 2 dark-haired guys, one with a hat, one with a moustache. I didn't know what to say, so I pretended I didn't know you, and they went away. The younger one tied a scarf onto the wishing tree. Yeah, Kian sighs. My dad and my uncle. I should have told you, I say. I'm sorry, I was going to, but then you saw the scarf and I thought it didn't matter anymore. Kian sighs. It doesn't matter, Scarlett, he says. At least I know they were here. They were looking. Looks like we're both in trouble, I say, heavily. I can't stay here anymore. I messed up at Dad's. I hurt Holly. You hurt her? Kian repeats. It was an accident, but yeah, it was my fault, I say. They know now what I'm like. I'm in trouble. I'm hopeless. It's time to move on. Kian stares into the fire, his face highlighted in the dull red glow. I guess this is the bit where I want him to suggest we run away together, away from the dark-haired men, away from Dad and Claire and Holly. We could ride midnight up into the hills, find a ruined cottage and live there in secret. Just us, no school, no adults, no hassle. Scarlett, you're not going anywhere, Kian says. You just made a mistake. They'll forgive you. They'll get over it. They won't, I say in a small voice. I've really let them down. You would if you ran away, Kian says. The injustice of this hits me like a slap. It's okay for you though, isn't it? I fling at him, to run away, to let people down. Your dad and your uncle, they were looking for you. This wasn't the first place they'd looked, and it won't be the last either. They were sad. Your dad especially. They wanted to find you. So don't preach at me about running away. You did it yourself. Kian looks at me, his face shadowed. I did, I know, but you don't know the reason for it, he says. It's a good reason, okay? Not just some family squabble that could be patched up if you just grow up and sit tight and accept that you were wrong. It's not like that, I splutter. Isn't it? I'm so angry I'd like to slap his face, thump my fists against his skinny chest, spit on his shoes. Instead, I take a big breath in and count to 10. But that doesn't even start to cut it, and I'm at 87 before I feel his hand snake round mine in the dark. I thought you'd understand, I whisper. I do understand, he says. I know that running away is a bad idea. It's the worst, okay? Look, Scarlett, something happened, something I just can't talk about. It's been eating me up, and I ran away, came here, trying to get my head straight. I know how much I've hurt my family, worried them, and I know I have to go back. Go back? I panic. You can't. Scarlett, I wouldn't have stayed this long if it hadn't been for you, Kian says. We sit in the dark for a long time in silence, holding hands until the fire dies down to softly glowing embers. We have to do this, even though it's tough, Kian says. I have to go back and you have to stay here, face up to what you did, make your family see that you're sorry. I can't. You can, Scarlett, Kian tells me. You're strong. You've made mistakes, sure, but running away would be the biggest one of all, I promise. Later, we ride back through the woods and all along the lane, Kian's arms round me, our hands muddled up together in midnight's mane. I don't want you to go, I whisper. Please don't. I have to, Kian sighs. Just a few more days, please, I beg. You haven't finished the hayricks yet, you said. I don't know, he says. I really need to find my dad and uncle. It's important. I know, of course, I tell him, but just a day or two to say goodbye? Kian is silent for a long time, and then he speaks softly, quietly, into my hair. Just a day or two then, okay? Promise? Promise. We've reached the cottage gate with Holly's hand-painted sign advertising eggs and strawberries and lettuce. I slip down from Midnight's back and run towards the house. The curtain in Holly's room twitches slightly. "I'll do the hayricks first thing," Kian calls. "Meet you at the lough at 1. At least we can say goodbye." I nod in the darkness, glad he can't see my stricken face, then turn away quickly as he turns Midnight round, back towards the lough. I sneak round the side of the cottage, slip in through the back door, creep up the stairs. As I cross the landing, I hear Holly's door shut softly, see the light click off from inside. I knock softly on her door, turn the handle, go inside. She's pretending to sleep, her face pale against the gloom, the quilt drawn up to her chin. I bend down to touch her cheek and she sits up, throwing her arms around me, hugging me so tightly I can hardly breathe. "Oh, Scarlett," she says, "I thought you'd gone." So that's today's instalment of the story. I really hope that you're enjoying it, and I hope you will come back tomorrow to listen to another chapter as the story reaches its kind of climax. Stay safe, stay happy. Just take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.